Basically, what these are doing is they made a problem. They now acknowledge that this is a problem, and they're giving you the solution that you gotta buy it. Yet this is still not okay. Like, I'm Bob, right? I'm currently Bob, and there's some stuff that's not okay in Honkai Star Rail right now. If Honkai Star Rail had an Eastern versus Western war, I feel like the Easterns are winning pretty well right now. Dear Diamonds and fellow Diamonds in the Rough, the long-awaited Honkai Star Rail 3.0 update is finally here. We get to go to a brand new planet or galaxy. I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to be. I mean, even at the start of the quest, you ask what kind of celestial body is that, and they don't even tell you what the hell it is. So I personally find that interesting because I like space stuff, planets, stars, blah blah blah. Like, that's my shit ever since I was a kid. That's something I really liked about Honkai Star Rail. Is it explores basically space and celestial objects, stuff like that. I get to learn a thing or two, something that intrigues me. She's a good thing. She's a good thing. So we're in the new thing, planet, whatever. And with that, of course, came a lot of features that Honkai Star Rail has finally introduced into the game, which I want to go over today. Of course, we're going to be talking about how the story is received, but I don't feel like that's enough for us to have a whole video for that. So I want to go over everything that Honkai Star Rail did in 3.0 as first impressions. There may be some things that I have missed because I've played for several hours now, but I feel like that was a good stopping point for me to give my first impressions. I don't even think I've ever done first impressions about anything in the game. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is that you're greeted with as soon as you log into the game, which is the March 7th skin. Now, the March 7th skin is something we've seen way back, like a bitch's legs when I'm fucking him. In Bellabog, I think it was when we were introduced to Topaz and Numbi, correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember well. We've seen this skin, and the longest time and when we've seen that was, oh, they're probably going to give it away next patch or maybe the patch afterward, but it turns out they never gave it away. So that was a massive head scratcher. But for after maybe a year now, they finally give us this skin, and the only thing I have to say is one, what took you so long, and two, why can't I use that in the March 7th that matters? What do I mean by that? This skin is exclusive to the preservation path of March 7th. If you happen to have the hunt path of March 7th, which is the usable one because it's used in one of the best teams in the game, which is Feixiao. I don't own Topaz, nor am I interested in owning Topaz. You can use March 7th as a substitute for Topaz in the Feixiao follow-up team. Well, I can't use this skin for March 7th hunt path. It is extremely limited to a preservation unit that's a 4-star that's given to you at the start of the game. And if you've been living under a rock, you probably heard of power creep in Honkai Star Rail right now. So March 7th, the preservation path is power crap to oblivion, especially when we were given a free standard 5-star selector, which means you might get Japard and that shit power creeps March 7th preservation to oblivion. So why can't I use the skin in the new form of March 7th? Oh, that's right. You didn't code it. She can't use those animations except in this particular way, which tells me there was some form of laziness when it comes to coding, and how I think this is the first ever skin in the game, period. The first ever skin of the game is being put in a lazy way. I'm pretty sure they could have coded it so that it can be used with March 7th, the hunt path, but I guess not. Maybe there's some lore reason. I don't care about that, to be honest with you. This skin should be available to any path or any form March 7th may take. Now I know why it's free, though. At least it's free. At least it's free. If it was something you could purchase, it would be a bigger problem. But hey, that's just my opinion, because I do like this skin and I would have loved to use it in March 7th in the path I use it, which is the Hunch path. Next, we are introduced to two features that Honkai Star Rail introduced in 3.0. The Wishful Resin, which reminds us of what Genshin Impact did, where they basically give you the ability to craft a whole new artifact, a whole new gear, with the main stat you want and 2 substat of your choice. Now, for Honkai Star Rail, you have to mix 2, which is a self-modeled resin, mixed with the now new Wishful Resin. You can choose 2 substats of your choice when you craft a brand new gear, which is pretty good in my opinion. Like, relics now, I feel like have less RNG. That we have tools to counter the RNG, but I want you to keep that in mind as I go to the ways of how you obtain these. Of course, Genshin does it in a way worse way, because Genshin, it takes you a longer period of time for you to be able to do this, only for them to roll wrong. So, I mean, there's always that. But Genshin Impact definitely fails when it comes to incorporating the system, as it takes way too long for you to be able to do this. I think Honkai Star Rail, we always get self-modeled resin. And for wishful resin, I'm not sure how fast we can get them. I've seen them in the whole region statue. I think you can get them as rewards from the region statue. And of course, the battle pass. And before I get into how you can obtain them and talk about that, I want to also reference the new feature, which is a new dice resin. I don't know what the hell it's called, but anyway, it's like a dice that enables you to basically re-roll any relic you have in your account. Basically, you have a relic that has both crit stats, and it didn't roll there, and you had a hard time obtaining this double crit stat relic, right? You have the wind damage in it, and the double crit. Like, this is an amazing relic that's very hard to find. So of course you will want your rolls to be great, but unfortunately it rolled wrong. Well, fret not, my dear Trailblazer. Now you have the dice resin, which can enable you to reattempt that roll once again. Now, these two are amazing features, but
there's only one problem with that.
These two features, as good as they are, they're basically like a dream come true when it comes to gacha, especially when you're doing end game and like you're try-harding and min-maxing, more specifically your characters, are good on paper, but the way you obtain them leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, for the self-modeled resin, which we've had for the longest time, you can grab it either by the battle pass or the pure fiction, end game content, like Memory of Chaos and end game content. And unfortunately, you can't obtain these things like you would self-modeled resin, for example, as you can get it through Memory of Chaos end game content. I still haven't seen those things in the store there yet. So far, you can only obtain them through, I think, the statue. I saw like wishful resin. I'm not sure if the dice resin is there. Correct me if I'm wrong. We are given one dice resin for free, the reroll resin for free, one of them at least. And the only other way to obtain them is through the paid version of the Battle Pass. Now, as you know, the Battle Pass gives you resources, even if you don't pay for it. But if you pay for it, you get extra stuff, typically premium stuff. The limited, unique type of gear and weapons that you can only obtain through the Battle Pass purchase. Now, those things obviously being power crept to oblivion in Honkai Star Rail. And you got, of course, the new stuff. You got the pools, of course, you got the pools. And now you have these two things. Now, is this an incentive for one to buy the Battle Pass? Of course it is. You're crazy if you don't see that this is an incentive for you to purchase the Battle Pass, okay? That, for me personally, leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because for you to obtain them as a free-to-play, dude, when I saw this, I'm about to crash out for real. I'm about to crash out. The only way for you to obtain them as a free-to-play is to trade in 3 self-modeling resin.
3 of them things?
For one of those things. Yep. Here's why this is a massive problem. There are 4 steps to the RNG of gear systems, especially in the Hoyo games. We're talking about the Hoyo games, okay? So there's 4 steps. Step 1, you have to drop the right set. Like each place that you can farm gear from, there's always 2 sets within that. So basically, you're always flipping a coin every time you attempt to get the set you want, right? That's step 1. Step 2, obtain the perfect piece, right? You need to get the right piece you're looking for, okay? That's step 2. Step 3, the main stats, right? You gotta see if the main stat is what you're looking for, all right? Step 4, actually there's 5 steps, sorry. Step 4, you need to get the right substats you want. And then step 5, you need to roll within the substats you want. Are 5 steps to RNG when it comes to getting the gear you want. Now, of course, some of these steps are harder than others, of course, but I'm including all 5 because basically they're all steps for RNG, and all of them include RNG elements in them. What self-modeled resin enables, and why I loved it personally, is that it removed basically, I think, 2 steps. You get to choose the piece you want, eliminating a part of it. You get to pick which set and everything you want, which eliminates another asset of RNG. And you get to pick the main stat you want. Now, of course, technically picking what you want can also be, you gotta include the whole relic, salvage relic type of currency. But I feel like, I mean, if you farm and you don't drop shit, you're using that for this, okay? Let's keep it a bug. So basically, self-modeled resin removes 3 RNG aspects. Those two basically, well, one removes technically one because you get to pick 2 substats of your choice, so that's good. But the reroll one is basically requires you to already have what you want only for you to do this. So basically, what these are doing is they made a problem. They now acknowledge that this is a problem, and they're giving you the solution that you gotta buy it. Now, self-modeled resin is scarce, right? Trading 3 is insane for any one of these two, I'll be honest with you. Because what self-modeled resin offers is way beyond what these two can do. I'll be completely... Wishful resin, like being obtained from time to time here and there, I'd be down with. I think I've seen it in this statue. I'm pretty sure it must... Certainly, there's another way to obtain that thing. But if it isn't, but if we can't, we're going to have a massive problem. And I feel like it is time we truly discuss even qualities of life not being implemented in Honkai Star Rail are being locked behind the paywall. That's not okay. We already have a power creep problem. We just got off a whole war in Honkai Star Rail. Y'all better be... Hey, you know what? Hey, I don't want to keep crashing out. But yeah, for me personally, either allow self-modeled resin to be traded directly with one of these two, in my opinion. Like, okay, self-modeled resin, you know what? I wanna trade this self-modeled resin for the reroll resin or the 2 substat resin. Like that should be the option, logically speaking. But seeing these greedy assholes and how they're doing it, 2. Let's do 2. You know what? Fuck it. We'll take the hits. Like the bosses, when you want to like convert previous bosses, you just happen to have some laying around your inventory. You can trade 2 for the one resource of the boss you're actually farming for. So they can do 2 for 1. Like, we'll take the hit. We'll take the hit. But the way it is right now is extremely predatory with the number 3. I'll be completely honest with you. That is unacceptable. Like, when I saw that, I was, man. Anyway, moving on. Now, do keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is me coming in biased because I just got 2 early 30s for the Herda and Lingsha back-to-back, winning both 50-50s. And I think since the Jade banner, I have not lost a single 50-50 in Honkai Star Rail. Like, my luck in Honkai Star Rail is insane. Yet this is still not okay. Like, I'm Bob, right? I'm currently Bob. And there's some stuff that's not okay in Honkai Star Rail right now. Now, let's get into the elephant in the room, the story. Now, is the story good? I'll be honest, I still haven't finished it completely. I'm at the... Aglaia did the truth detector, lie detector, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm basically there, like they told us, okay, we're going to war, we're going to slay a titan. Sorry, spoiler alert, right? And that's where I'm at. I know the sentiment in the streets is this yap rail, right? Is it though? Is it though? Now, for my first impression, because I haven't finished the story, but my first impression is the first half, when you come to the planet and you get the first, because you know, like these things are separate. Like I feel like the moment you obtain the premium currency, that's like a pause. That's like the end of a chapter. Go to chapter 2. So I'm gonna call this chapter 1. When you get 150 premium currency, I think that was great. I'll be completely honest. I was hooked. I was like, okay, what the hell's going on? The moment you enter, it's immediate action. Like everything is happening around you. There's so much going on. There's plenty of cutscenes, which I found pretty good in my opinion. Like that was good. There were some black screens here and there, and there was always that static image, and then there's the character talking over it. You know what? At this point, whatever, bro. These devs will just keep being lazy in their storytelling. I guess there's no helping that at this point. Beyond that, after that, chapter 1, this chapter 2, which is where I think I just concluded. For chapter 2, it was definitely a Yapfest. That was a Yapfest, and if the story is going to continue down this path, well, we're going to have a problem. But if it, because I know now we're going to fight a Titan, so I'm gonna assume like there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of problem solving and some form of mystery before we fight the Titan, which I'm gonna assume is the new weekly boss. So I don't know. I don't know. Is the story gonna continue being good? I'm not sure. But for me right now, in the first two chapters, the story was good. The story was good. Like I know some people will hate on me for that, but the story was good for the first two chapters. Let me just be clear. The Land of War is done well. I mean, Genshin could never when it comes to the Land of War. The music was very, very good, especially that one boss. I think there was a cutscene where like it turns around and it just goes into swing and stuff. Like that was good music. Felt like God of War type theme that was going on in the background. That was amazing. Oh, something that I found annoying, and I feel like all these gacha games do, and at this point we should talk about, which is characters that are going to appear eventually as playable characters. They show up to like fight with you against this particular enemy, but they're not playable in that particular time. Like you fight with your own team, those characters are not giving you like a story version of them where you just play them for this particular fight and then they just disappear again. I feel like this is a great opportunity for developers to start introducing the characters to us. I think they've done it at the start of the game, if I'm not mistaken, where they give you the character, you play them once or twice. I think it was Kafka at the start of the game. Yeah. Kafka was available at the start of the game and was only available, I think, 1 or 2 patches later. That was good. You had the taste of what Kafka feels like, etc. So, especially in the story, when the character shows up, I want to see him fight, though. It's like this thing where you just imagine him fight, or he's fighting in the background like you're doing your own fight. He's doing his own fight over there. That doesn't make much sense. If you're going to keep doing this thing where future release characters are going to appear in the story and fight alongside you, have playable versions of them there so we can get the taste of them, / it makes the story more realistic and the storytelling keeps being, smooth. Like it's not, because like when I see that, it breaks my immersion. I'm like, oh wait, it's not playable yet, right? It makes me remember what's around the game and not the immersion of the story and the world of the game. If that makes any sense. I hope it does. And I think that's about it. I don't want to yap as much as the goddamn game, apparently, according to people. I mean, I'm still like in chapter 2, so I just wanted to get this out. For how I finished the story, I think I'll just tweet that, or I'll just leave a YouTube post or something for you guys over here. So make sure you follow me and make sure to keep an eye out for that. I think this is a good segue for me to make a certain video I've been waiting to make for a long time. So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you stopping by. I think this is everything I noticed so far in Honkai Star 3.0. If I have to give it a rating, I would give it a solid 6 out of 10. Nothing too crazy, nothing too new, right? Like it's classic Honkai Star Rail at this point, in my opinion. So I don't like to give a 7. Like I would gladly give it a 7. I don't give 7s. Like you're either good or bad. Like for me, it's more so down the average, more so than above average, right? So that's me though. It's fun, it's good. Don't let people deter you from trying it out. I think it's decent. It's decent, especially the 2 chapters. They're decent. Like I think you can definitely get that single pull, right? You can get it while enjoying yourself, for sure. But let me know what you guys think about the Mars 7 skin, the brand new qualities of life when it comes to the gear system and the story. And if I missed anything, please let me know. For the characters, I'll be honest, I haven't tried the Herda as much so far. I mean, I still gotta like level her and everything, and that takes resources, even though I think I used all my Trailblaze power, which is insane. And what else? The blonde girl, I can't wait for that. A lot of characters, like the roster is looking pretty good, I'll admit. Like all the characters are great. Like I want the blondie for sure. I want the red warrior guy. There's also the death girl. Those are all 3 characters I'm looking at going, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to be saving my pose. Anyway, that's always good to see when it comes to a roster of characters in a game. Like it's like Wuthering Waves, where you have Branch, right? Like you see Branch, you're like, you know what, I'll pick that up. Or the Leviathan girl, like that also is something. For one, Zanny, for example, like when you see a character like Zanny, Future characters that are introduced within the story, you keep an eye out for them. Like, there's always something that keeps bringing you back into the game, which in my opinion is a good thing. Like, comment, subscribe. See you.